Rakatha Yahweh, Bashem Yabashai, Bashem Rakakwadash, double honors to the elders and apostles of great Melson rule well. I am not a member, however, I've entered into their labor. Peace and mercy to the sincere brothers and students, wherever you are, whatever your lot may be. This is not meant to be very long, just a quick news update on certain things. And I wanted to wait a little bit to see what came of the strike on land in Venezuela, because that is a direct escalation of force, right? They are no longer doing things which were also um, against international law. They were doing these strikes on sea or in international waters, but now you have struck on sovereign soil. So I wanted to see what came of it, and I'm not sure. This was 6 hours ago. It's showing that he's open to talks but won't commit or comment on the strike, right? So who knows? But the thing is, this escalation does not, it is not just Venezuela, right? You know, you have these other countries that, you know, especially Russia, China, and Iran, countries like that, who now look at Babylon, or who now see, who have always saw Babylon for what she was, and won't stand idly by and allow, you know, the hammer of the earth to just do as she pleases in times past, like she did in times past, right? As the scripture tells you, you know, are thou as weak as we, okay? And then we're witnessing the hammer of the earth being cut asunder very, very soon, because they are doing things, they are making very drastic moves, not only on a international or global front, but a domestic front as well, when it comes to trying to control, you know, the information war and just the all-out, just FALSE, FLAG, and the anti, you know, S word. Whenever you mention them in a light that it does not fall in line with the given narrative. Alright, so this is a scramble for a lot. So let's open a couple of these, but the overarching, we want three things, okay? Because Iran also says that they are in a total or a full-scale war with U.S., Israel, and the EU. Now, do not confuse that with a declaration, okay? Iran is simply saying that you know, they are prepared to do what they got to do. Basically, they will not. Basically, they just not gonna sit back and take it like they did. So, you know, come one, come all. Okay, and then lastly, the Spanish official, all right, um, who is in, you know, they have some pull within the nation, you know, within the country of Spain, right? And what she says is that Bibi is the, you see, of the 21st century. All right, obviously in the context of the, you know, of that what we have going on, and they have been critical, as it shows, from 2023 to 2025. Also, Maduro has said the same thing earlier this year in June, and really, you know, we gotta get the least of the flock draws them out, right? Because this is what we are seeing. Learn how to spell the least. Yeah, this is a beautiful, beautiful live action of watching the scriptures uh, literally jump off the page. Watching these prophecies jump off the page. Jeremiah 50 and 45. All right, this is prophecy against Babylon. But we'll skip. We'll kind of read a couple of these things before we actually get to what we're going to get to is concerning these articles. All right. The word of the Lord spake against Babylon and against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet. Declare ye among the nations and publish to set a standard. Publish and conceal not. Say Babylon is taken, for all is confounded. Murdoch is broken in pieces, and her idols are confounded. Her images are broken in pieces. And you can liken that unto today as the veil being lifted, right? The propaganda no longer works. The enchantments, people are seeing through them, or for the most part they are. And it all is a a byproduct of this truth going out, right? Because you have the, the Egyptian against Egyptian and their tongues falling upon themselves. They're all just coming out with truth left and right, and especially the wickedness strictly or specifically concerning Babylon, um, and well, those that are currently in the land now. So we'll just E in total E. All right, the scriptures tell you who would be in charge of the world. All right, of the known world, of the globe, Oinkamini, right before the arrival of Yahushua and Mashiach, and he would be in control. He would be ruling. Okay, and make no mistake, there is no difference between the YT man here and the YT man over there. They are the same people. One nation, different tribes. Just like the 12 tribes of Israel. You have, the nation and different tribes. Right? And we don't really have to go too deep into that. That should be something that is understood. If you don't, then type in GMS tribes of Israel. They have but these are breakdowns, or this is I'm sorry, that is a basic milk scripture. That's something that is a part of a foundational learning skill, or I'm sorry, a foundational fact, right? That you should know prior to trying to dive into something like this. This should be here the obvious, right? And there are scriptures like Jeremiah 51 and 29, Jeremiah 50 and 23 that links Esau or E to Babylon, right? Who is the hammer of the earth. And also you have Jeremiah, where we're at here, 50, Jeremiah 50 and 40, Jeremiah 49 and 17, all right? Isaiah 47 and 1 is another one that links all of these scriptures are precepts that link E to Babylon. And furthermore, when you see E, you always see desolation or destruction. Okay, so you also keep that in mind. And what did I say, Jeremiah 50 and 4, where were we at? Okay, 54, I'm sorry, 50 and 45. But we're going to skim over this here and just get a couple of other things before we even get to 45, right? So I mentioned 50 and 23, so we can just scroll down to that. And you see how it talks about Chaldea being a spoil. Okay, let's see. And we'll get to the articles. I'm sorry. I just want to get these scriptures. I feel it necessary, absolutely necessary to grab scripture when it presents itself. What did I say? 50 and 20, 23 here. All right. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Now, the original or the Babylon that would be written in this verbatim, like in this context, was not a desolation. It was taken over, okay, by the Persian Persian Empire, right? You can find those 4 major nations in Daniel 7, okay? All right, so when it comes to Babylon being a desolation, this is a double meaning here with the current, writing to the current Babylon, but also talking about the one that we are currently living in, or the current Babylon in that time, and the symbolic Babylon, which is, Rome 2.0, Egypt, Assyria, all of these things wrapped into one, if that makes sense to you. If not, again, type it in, GMS, Babylon, GMS, Jeremiah 50. Take your notes, pray on it, gain the understanding, okay? Should I just read 24? Yeah. I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, thou wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. And boy, have they, at every breaking turn, have they done this. Okay, so let me just get on down here to the point that we wanted. What was it, 45? 45. Yeah, come from a north, a great nation. Alright, the king of Babylon had heard the report, and his hands waxed feeble. Alright, and here is the point that we wanted here at 45. Therefore hear ye the counsel of Yahweh that he hath taken against Babylon, and his purpose that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. And seeing, I don't know if you see some of these news articles where you see half of, America flag and the other half is the other one. And it is really a great way to symbolize the sharing of judgment that, these places will have. However, the only difference is the Holy Land will be rebuilt. Okay? And what do we say? Purpose against the land of Chaldean. Yep, least of the flocks will draw them out. Okay, we did get that. And what does it say about the least? Actually, I'm going to go out of order here, and we're going to do this one. And let this little thing play, because I just mentioned how the flags were split, so I want this. I want you to see this here.
Getting economic, cultural, and diplomatic pressure as part of this war, France, Germany, and the UK recently imposed renewed sanctions over Tehran's nuclear program. The conflict escalates global concerns. Analysts warn that combining sanctions with war rhetoric increases the risk of miscalculation, especially when military, economic, and political fronts overlap. The announcement also signals potential regional instability. Ukraine's allies and proxies in the Middle East may be drawn into the conflict if tensions escalate. Tehran's threats may trigger heightened military readiness.
Right, that's that Battle of Armageddon, that Battle of Armageddon, right, where everybody, where mainly it's about, the present day Russia, but Iran and Russia, they cool. So if it were a measure of just, Babylon versus Iran, it would be, or Iran, it would be a different scenario. However, these countries, they're not going to be on their own. They will have the backing of other countries, in China as well. So it will be that what constitute the third woe. Let me rewind that a little bit. Also, fair use, fair use, fair use. I am not making any money off of this. It is simply for educational purposes only. Is there a fair use thing I can pull up right here? Right? Is there rhetoric I can say? I can read verbatim. Yeah, the disclaimer. Okay, this, right, yeah, so copyright disclaimer. This site is for or not site, basically my site. Yeah, this site and this video that I am covering is for educational purposes only. Content not developed, not developed by LOSFA may be provided on this platform from time to time for educational purposes. So I don't even need to really read that, but you see it. Copyright disclaimer: under Section 107 of the Copyright Act, allowance is made for fair use for the purpose such as criticism, comment, news reporting, all right, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Okay, I do not profit. I do not make money. I am not monetized. This is simply educational. Let's rewind that a little bit.
Threats may trigger heightened military readiness in neighboring countries. The global community now watches closely to see whether this is symbolic rhetoric or a prelude to more tangible actions.
Yeah. So what is this? What is it? What's about the wars and rumors of wars, right? And that's what you hear. Is it symbolic rhetoric, or are we seeing an escalation in real time? Are we watching the rumors become true, right? Matthew 24. Go ahead and turn on that, dang it, red letter. Okay. All right. Yahushua answered, because these are his word. Take heed that no man deceive you. The point is in 6. I'm just going to read from 4. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Mashiach, or I am the anointed, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows, right? So we are watching as there is a slow but steady buildup. But remember, though it tarry, wait, because it won't, right? Once it kicks off and it moves quick. And we are watching the quick escalation that has on a scale that we've never seen before. All right, so people are, starting to shut up and not say things like, well, we had this all the time. We've been seeing this, blah, 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 blah. No, you're seeing them all in conjunction. Okay, you're starting to see the forming of alliances and the deterioration of alliances, right? When we're going into Revelation 17 here and 16 and the 10 horns, remember this was of the old Rome, right, or the Roman Empire, and the 10 horns were the vassal states, okay, and you fast forward to today, the 10 horns, um, gosh, what am I? The 10 horns here are the forming of the NATO and the EU, right? Because they were the Commonwealth of Rome. Okay. Now you can also do GMS Revelation 17, and I'll type it in real quick. Or we see what we got here, right? So if I and there's also a playlist I have. The Learn and Study playlist is in there as well. Look at that. Revelation, this is all you gotta do. Boom. You see that? And there's a couple of them. Dallas in Class, that was definitely a pretty good one. And this is the one I actually used for my full notes. Okay? 3 years ago. You can pull this up when you need to. Do your notes so that way you are up to speed, because obviously there is a lack of time. Time is not on our side here. Okay, so we did that. We said wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So you are seeing the breaking down of alliances, and that's why I got this Spanish official saying what she was saying. And of course, there is a, where did I see the Federation? Here we go. Backlash, right? Yeah, this is the word. That's the magic word right there. And remember, that is now a living definition which can be added at any time. They can add something new to it at any time. All right, by the Federation of blah 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 communities of Spain. They got communities everywhere, especially in the Edomite nations. All right, that is a part of the 7 heads, 10 horns. So you can piece that together as I'm sure you can. Okay, They're always there, and they're always ready to throw that out. They're always ready to throw this out. So you have that. You have the escalation of Venezuela. What else? China has now surrounded Taiwan. They want to take back Taiwan, which is a strategic placement or logistic stronghold for the U.S. What else? We got Least of the Flock. We read Matthew 24. We read that. We got the wars and rumors of wars. Okay, we saw how the different leaders of these nations are all coming to the same conclusion. So let's kind of dig into these strikes here, right? Did I read that? Yes, and I read the Tin Horn. Yeah, okay. So let's see what we got here. Go away. All right. And that three-letter agency, they got a lot going on, especially if you can look into, everything that's under the Freedom of Information Act. You can, history may not always repeat, or when it doesn't repeat, it rhymes. All right? Think about that. All right, to a grave New Year decision, then that's, all right, this is before we come into 2026. Thrust the country into a significant new phase. It's not yet spelled out clear, consistent public rationale for his action, nor has it prepared the country for what might come next. Nobody here, right? That's not, other countries have told their citizens to, especially even in the UK, stock up, get prepared to experience some things. And here is all a lullaby. All right, top officials haven't explained how long the massive naval buildup in the Caribbean will last, or what U.S. service members will be asked to do in operation that is already raising a legal and constitutional alarms, which we said in the beginning here. All right, and that's very important. Alleged, right? And now a land attack, right? So this is a clear and apparent escalation. All right, after, let's see, from top officials imply there's been no White House effort to show Americans the administration is planning for aftermath. This is especially a relevant point given to quagmires that developed after U.S. military action to topple rulers of Iraq, Afghanistan, and Libya, right? Very same thing, right? That's why I said if history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. Fuck out of here. Alright, so it says he's open to talks here. That is today. What is he saying? Okay. Issue said week of escalating pressure campaign. In a pre-taped interview aired Thursday. Alright, with the U.S. wherever they want to, whenever they want. He evaded the question about the strike last week. Alright, docking, which I think is smart because you don't want to, maybe you don't want to admit what was hit and what was not. Your enemy may not have all the information, they may not have all the intel. So you don't want to mention it. You don't want to give up any answers. You don't want to give up any intel that they can piece together, because that's the thing about it. You piece together little bit by little bit to gain, the full picture, to get the full story. So the less, that's simply InfoSec. That is Information Security 101 right there. Okay, so that's, of course, he's not going to speak on that after it happened just so recently. During the interview, Maduro reiterated that the U.S. wants to force a government change in Venezuela to gain access to its vast oil reserve. If history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. And I think that just may be the topic, or the title here. Okay, deployment, yep, in August. Impose themselves through threats, imitation, and force. Alright, later adding it's time for both nations to start talking seriously with data in hand. Okay, if they want to seriously discuss an agreement, then they're ready, and that is to put in the ball in their court. If you're trying to really come to an agreement, if the safety of the people is really what you want, is really what you care about, then let's sit down and talk about it. How can we work together, right? But he knows, and everyone else knows, that that is a load of bullshit, all right? And he said if they want oil, if Venezuela is ready for U.S. investment, like with Chevron, whenever they want it, or whenever they want it and how they want it, right? Fair and square. We are a sovereign nation. You ain't gonna come here and just take shit. Pay for it, bitch. Sorry. Excuse my Swahili, my French, my Portuguese. Um, but yeah, so you got the gist of that there. Okay. Yeah, urging him to abandon the illegal warmongering, but they can't. That is who they are. He is the perfect representation of an E and the sentiment, and that is all they do. This is all they know. Steal, kill, destroy. How is the hammer of the earth? Is that Isaiah 14? I can't even remember. I mentioned it earlier. And there's also I witnessed Satan fall like lightning. I think that's Isaiah 14. So let's go to Jeremiah 50 and 23. I just read that. Dang it. And I forgot that quick. Okay. Jeremiah 50 and 23. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among nations? This is if you use prophecy. Remember, desolation and E go hand in hand. All right. Oh, before we do, I don't even think I've ever grabbed that hammer. How is... Dang it, hold on now. There it is. Forge, hammer, right? Intensely from an unused root, meaning to pound, right? So, to a singular tool like a hammer, everything is a nail. And that is why, if history does not repeat, it often rhymes. Because it's all nails to a hammer. You feel me? Oh, Lucifer. Alright, this is Israel's taunt to them here. Alright, all they shall speak. I'm reading at 10, Isaiah 14:10 here. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou become as weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave. And very, very soon, did I miss it? I think you see, that pomp is gonna get brought down here pretty soon. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows, and the worm is spread under thee, and the worm covereth thee. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? Lucifer simply means light bearer, unless they went in and changed it, because you know the serpent is also who he is more subtle than any beast of the field, and I find that funny. It's 1966. All right, you know that you just flip it here, right there, and you got the marker, the number of the, the number of the, all right, the number of the according to Revelation 13 and 16. Here is wisdom, right? Light bearer, okay, the king of Babylon and Satan, okay. And the king of Babylon, who would be in charge of those scriptures that I mentioned earlier, right? Of the earth being given into hands of the wicked. Malachi tells you the book of oops, and Malachi tells you who they are, and those scriptures you can piece together there, precept upon precept, line upon line. That is how you gain an understanding, right? And heaven is a high position, a rulership. Okay? How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst speak in the nations, which they aim to do? You see throughout history how they, especially there's certain three letters, how they get down, basically. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Right? However, your plans are not Yahweh, Mahashem Yahushai's plans, or really Yahweh's plans, because Yahushai is coming to do the will of the Father. Alright, so you got it here. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, meaning to a lower state. Alright, not some burning place under the ground, but from a rulership position to a position of servitude and lowliness, right, as they were when the Roman Empire was taken down by Jake. Okay, they were forced into the caves and into the mountains and to lick the dust and, ooga booga. And then after the ooga booga, they were their period. They were allowed to go forth for a little season and deceive the nation. Hence the Renaissance. Not only cultural, but a medical renaissance. And when you go, there were other places prior to them that were doing high level of surgeries, high level of math, things of that nature. And if you've ever looked into medical practices and studies, in the 14, 15, 16, the 15, 16, 17 centuries, it's these weird things, these weird practices. They come up with anesthesia, but they didn't do it right. You were only paralyzed, but you were not numb, so you could not move, you could not talk. If you look, it makes it look like we've made these medical advancements. However, it is just, YT people shooting themselves in the foot. And on a lesser scale here today, you hear, Jake on the internet say racism is expensive, right? Because they will spite themselves just to not give Jake credit or make sure Jake is suffering. Right. We read that. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the whole earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the houses of his prisoners? And yeah, you people are going to look at you one day and say, ain't no way this MF had control of the world and did everything that you say they did. Alright. Knock my mic over. Okay. So what else? I think that we got that. And this is really the same thing here. Alright, and you never know. Look who's standing. Look who right there. Damn it. How do you see just lie with a straight face? You never, good God, boy. And that is why Maduro did not confirm or deny anything. He did not speak on that. All right. So I'm not even gonna go into. You know what? Let's let it roll. Fuck it. Right, because what does that mean for the EU partners? What does that mean for NATO partners when, you know, the U.S. and the U.S. of I, okay, just does these things, right? And they don't consider their partners, and their partners are no longer considering them. And again, all right, you are witnessing the deterioration of alliances, of long-standing alliances, all right, and this is paving the way for what we read here in Revelation 17 about the beast hating the whore and burning her with fire.
Actually, the form of undermining of the three tongues, which has been established since the Second World War.
Trump's ultimate goal here is to force regime change in Venezuela. Is there any sense of where this will lead? Trump has reportedly been threatened to invade Venezuela since his first term as president. In October, he said he authorized the CIA to conduct a foreign operation inside the country. And he's been building up his military in the Caribbean. Many to speculate that that maybe is the next move. Thanks, Karen Paul, Washington.
So yeah, there you have it. I think the point has been made here. Again, the title of this will be history, something along the lines of history may not always repeat itself, but it often rhymes. I pray that you were edified. I did say that this wasn't supposed to be very long, but hey man, we got some scripture and we got to, you know, make a couple points here. So like I said, again, as always, my utmost my utmost wish and prayer is that whoever sees this is edified and inspired to, you know, dig a little deeper into whatever I went into, expand your knowledge, you know, and to grow, inevitably grow. With that being said, shalom.